All right, well, officially kick things off. So, for everyone that doesn't know me, I'm Jock Lawrence. I'm the founder and CEO of Mobble. Mobble was founded about 6 years ago on my parents' family farm, and since then, we're now helping thousands of farmers and mobblers manage their farms all around Australia, New Zealand, and the world. So, yeah, it's a humble beginnings, but yeah, now helping thousands of farmers, and it's a job that I love. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining this webinar. So. The way this will be structured, we will basically go through a bit of mobile demo, but today's difference will be focusing on the setup of mobile and how to set it up simply to get the most out of it going forward, and so your reports and stuff are more valuable. We're going to focus on a few sort of open questions that people are interested in around like open gates and stuff like that, and there'll be a Q&A at the end. But at any time during the next 15 minutes during the demo, feel free to post any questions into the chat. And Sam's going to interrupt me and make sure that I get to those questions and answer them. So that's the way that's going to work. And we'll have those discussions. And by the end of the session, it'll be a very relaxed, open Q&A. Anyone can come off mic and ask questions, and we have a bit of a chat. Yeah, g'day Lee. Thanks for joining. And Clinton. All right, I'm just going to share my screen. All right, so this is one of my parents' properties near Seymour, Victoria. I'm going to use this farm as a demo property. It's a live property, real data. We can have a bit of a sticky beak and see what they're up to. And I'll give you a bit of demo around Mobble, how we've set it up and how you guys can set it up nice and simply. So yeah, Mobble, it's a simple livestock and farm management software. It's got two apps, as most of you know. It's got one on the mobile phone and one on the computer. The one on the mobile phone is the one that you're using out in the field, out in the paddock, and updating things like mob moves and treatments on the fly. And everyone on the farm has access to it, all your workers, family, and stuff like that. And the one on the computer, this one is more or less exactly the same, but it's got a few more reporting features and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm going to show you the one on the computer, but most of it translates pretty simply across the app as well. So it's sort of like a demo for both. Um, Now, so brief overview of Mobble. So I'm going to sort of talk about setup from the very beginning. So the first thing that you do when you set up Mobble is you're coming to the map page and you're mapping out your property. And the way you do that is this big plus button down the bottom right, and you're adding in your paddocks. And you can just zoom in to your strainer posts, as many of you already know, and you can go around and map out your paddocks this way. Add paddock. And you can select types here as well. It's worth noting at this point, like you can have multiple types or different types for different paddocks, and they come up as different colors, and you can change the colors as well. So you can have, some people like to put in their crop types as paddock types, ryegrass, wheat crop, whatever it is, and they'll show up different colors. Some people like to have maybe something to do with like sort of farm boundary locations as the type. It's all different ways you can do it, but it's all customizable. And it's a good thing to think about as you're actually mapping out Mobble. And you can still, now most of you already set Mobble up, but you can still change those types and edit them as you go as well. And you basically just hit the add new paddock there and add that new paddock in. And you're going through the property, takes a little while, map out the place. Note that you can also, if you've already got your property already mapped out somewhere in another software or in Google Earth or something like that, you can also send through that map file to us and we can upload it for you to save you a heap of time. So just noting that one as well. And the other thing that you'll be doing first up, another good thing to think about doing is mapping out your map assets as well. So things you like your silo locations, shed, tanks, troughs, stuff like that too. There was a question that came in from one of our mobblers around mapping in electric power lines and mapping in pipelines. You can definitely do that too. So it's the same process. You add in a map asset and you select a type of map asset here. And for this case, we can choose pipeline. But in the case of let's say a power line, which isn't listed here, we can have it in other line, and that can be your own custom, whatever you want, sort of map asset. So yeah, you could map out where that power line goes through the place. So For example, this goes from this corner to here and then bounces out the back. You can see there's wind towers here as well, so maybe it connects to this wind tower. Um, we can add that asset in, call it a power line. Um, and there it is. And we've changed these recently. These lines used to be really thick, but now they're nice and thin, so they don't take up too much space on your screen. Um, Now you've set up, so you got as far in as setting up all your paddocks and your mobs and your paddocks and your map assets. The next thing you might want to consider doing is setting up your custom fields in Mobble. So you got your map here, you got your map assets all in, and before you start adding in your mobs, we can actually we can customize what breeds and genders and everything you're using at the moment, so Mobble can work for you. So the way you do that is you go into your settings and you go classes, types, and tags. And here is all the things you can customize within your mobs, your livestock, and your paddocks as well. So we're talking about those paddock types before. Um, for us at home, we have cattle and sheep. And what we've done here is there's a preset selection in Mobile of all these different, say, sheep breeds. And we've just deleted all them and put in the breeds that we actually use on this property. So these are the breeds that we use, and it's very easy to add them in, add a breed in here, and you might have a breed of two different types, and you can name it something cross something, for example, as well. So add the breed in there and delete the ones. Very easy to delete the ones that you're not using as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can also, and the same with the genders as well. Now the big tip here is keeping it really simple. So some people come into genders and decide to name things like ewe culls, or we'll go to cattle. They'll go cow culls or bull culls, or they'll sort of name the mob in the gender. I'd recommend not doing that. I'd recommend keeping it really simple and just having, bulls, cows, heifers, mixed sex for your calves and steers. Keep it really simple. Obviously double up here, so we could go in and delete one of these, but keep it really simple. And then for those extra classing, like for the culls, for your wets or things that you sort of name your mob, I'd highly recommend you use classes. So this is kind of where it goes to that next level of reporting, and it's a good way to sort of name your mobs. Um, in a way that you want to, or more specifically towards your farm. So it could be, heavies and lights. It could be culls. It could be in lamb. It could be seconds, twins, wets, all these different things. So I would highly recommend use classes. So you can set up your different classes of livestock within here. Um, and that's a good place to start. So once you've sort of worked out you've sort of narrowed down your cattle breeds and your sheep genders or your cattle genders, goat genders, whatever livestock you've got, you can probably come back to the map here and start adding in those livestock. And to do that, there's a couple ways you can do it, but probably the simplest way is to just hit this button here, press add mob, and we've got three different options. And if you're setting up the property, probably best to press setup. But there is natural increase here, which is, say, you're adding in calves, and purchases, which should be self-explanatory, adding in, say, some bulls that we bought. So let's go set up other for this scenario. And we're going to put them into Yabby and sheep. And then breed. These are the breeds that we preset earlier. So there's no confusion. And then there's these really simple genders we got here, so there shouldn't be any confusion there. Ages, young ewes, and then classes. And this is where we can get much more specific. That needs to be a bit, yeah. And maybe these ones a seconds line, and they're in twin. So that's where you get more specific in the classes. And then you got your head number. and next and save. And that'll pop up on the property there. And my parents are going to be pretty wigged out in a second when they see 100 extra sheep and a power line through their property, but I'll delete these when we're finished. So that's yeah, sort of my tips around customizing your property before you get started, or if you've already started, which most of you already have, it might be a good time to review those what breeds and genders and classes that you're using and neaten them up in the settings there. Because once you've neatened them up, it's going to be easier in the future to manage your mobs, and it's going to be easier in the future to get better reports. It's much cleaner reports as well. So when you come to this, say, a livestock reconciliation report, which is in this tab down the left. This is our full livestock rec over a financial year, which is a new feature. So you can see choose your financial year. You can get this breakdown in a neat fashion. So your all merino ewes here, and then under so make first cross ewes here, and under that you've got all the different classes, and it breaks it down nicely. If you don't want the full livestock rec, you can also go to livestock numbers summary, and this is a much simpler view as well of your current numbers. That's the mob I just added in then. All right, so you've done an awesome job. You've set up your paddocks, your map assets. You've put all your mobs in the way you want them classed. The next job for you guys to do is invite the team. So it's nice and simple, and I'll take you through it. But you go into settings, you go to users, and we've got a few different here, but you add in invite a user this way. It won't let me because we've exceeded our user limit. But what you'll see here is a form that basically tells you, it asks you to put an email in, and then what type of user are they? So there's three different types. There's the owner of the property who has full access. They're also the owner of the subscription. The admins, they also have full access but can't do any billing stuff for the subscription. There's a user level. So sorry, there's four. There's a user level which has general access, can do all the mob movements, can do your mob actions and stuff, but they don't have any access to these reports or any financial data on your livestock or on your farming operation. And then there's a view-only user as well, which just they can't do anything, but they can see most things except for anything sensitive. And they won't be able to move mobs or anything like that. It won't let them as well, which is handy. It's just handy when you're, if you've got just someone you just want to have to be able to view and not actually do anything. Also worth noting, we have this other area Mobble called Mobble Connect. And this is similar to users. These are our third-party access. These don't add to your user limits. You can add these people in as much as you like. Well, there are limits within each one, but you can add your farm advisor in, stock agent, accountant, contractor, and all these different people get different views. So contract is one of the most commonly used. This morning we added in a contractor. But basically the contractor view as an example, and you can go in here and they'll tell you the capabilities of each view, is just a view of the map, and they can't make any edits. So all they'll see, everything else will be grayed out, and all they can see is the map, and they better see their location on the map. And it's great for things like, you've got a shooting contractor and it needs to know where the boundaries of the property are. You've got fencing contractors, and you can add a task for them in the map. Or maybe they're a helicopter contractor mustering up in Queensland, and they can also get access to this, and they can see their location on the map and which paddock they're in. Really good for heli mustering as well. So yeah, so that's probably sort of the four main steps of getting your mobile set up and get going well. But all those steps apply to people that use Mobble currently, if you want to review how you got it set up. So yeah, hopefully that helps. I will open up the Q&A pretty soon, so please start thinking about your questions that you want answered and stuff like that, and start putting them in the chat so Sam can let me know. One of the things that we got requested to have more information on, you can open gates within Mobble. So if I open This is yeah, it's a bit self-indulgent of me. It's a paddock named after me. But if I open Jock's and Todd's paddock open together, I click on the paddock, I open gates, and I can select. There you go. It just finds the closest paddocks to it. All right, Jock's and Todd's open gates, and you can see this big white line around these two paddocks. That means that the gates are open between these two paddocks, and these livestock here will now knows that these livestock are flowing between them. And we do some smart reporting, so like ratio reporting of how heavily grazed this paddock has been versus this paddock. So it's basically a ratio on the areas. Um, yeah, so that means we can get more accurate, say grazing records as well. So yeah, so there's that as well. Um, all right. All right. So right
Jock,
now,
do you want to just talk through where the days grazed and breasted information is on the paddocks and the maps?
yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Sam. So we can talk about one of the good things about Mobble is sort of in that grazing management space. There's a few different features in Mobble that sort of help with this. You've got days grazed and days rested and days grazed on paddocks. So you can click on a paddock. I can see here it's 2 days rested. I can click on this paddock and I can see here it's 13 days grazed, for example. Um, I've got this set to LSU. LSU is a stock unit used in New South Wales, Queensland, um, mainly. But you can also change that to DSE if you're in southern states of Australia, or SU for New Zealand, as well. So we have all those different units, and then you can change that via your settings. On your grazing reporting, you can go into further depth. So if I click on a paddock and I want more information on these key figures here, I can go to paddock info and I scroll down. So one on a paddock, you've got the full history forever. You got your key values here. And then just keep scrolling down. We also get a historic livestock graph as well. And this, I was looking to 2024, but this is like the livestock we've had in this paddock over in 2024. You can see it's changing over time. And we can also get the stocking unit, DSC, LSU, whatever you're using, averages. So that red line is the average. And then also average per hectare. And these are 12-month rolling averages. So these are pretty interesting figures because it's kind of like how hard this paddock's been grazed over that period. So yeah, currently it's sitting at 0.73 LSU per hectare. Um, and yeah, it's much higher. It's been grazed much more than it had, say, a year ago. And so we can sort of see, if that paddock's still performing really well, or if it probably should have less stock on it, maybe for next season. A quick way to see which paddocks have been grazed the most over a 12-month period, you can go to this paddocks list and you can order by the average LSU per hectare. And you can see which ones have been hit the hardest or have been, the most productive, depending. And you've got these here. So we got some, yeah, very productive paddocks up the top of this property that grow a lot of grass, and we expect, them to have a higher stocking rate. So they do. So it's good to see that. But then you can also see the underperforming paddocks and work out, if some of these should be performing much better and work out what's going wrong there as well. So that's a good way to look at it. You can also order this in days rested and days grazed, so you can see which paddocks maybe are the next in your rotation, and stuff like that too. Is that a good explanation, Sam? Sweet. Awesome.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
No worries. I'll go through a couple of the main mobile features, and like we'll open up to Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, just ping them through. So yeah, so compliance and record keeping. So Mobble, we're recording information on mobs and paddocks. On the mob side of things, we're doing a bunch of different things. This red dot on the compliance side actually means this mob is in withhold. So something's happened to this mob recently to put them in withhold. We can see what's happened here. So we can click on this mob, click on it again, view that mob here. And in the history, we can see that my brother Todd has applied a drench action on the first of the fourth against 12 mobs. So, and this is one of those mobs. And we can go into that drench action. These are all the mobs that he drenched, or they drenched. And you can see the product that they've used um, as well, the products in this case. And all those products link back to our inventories, which we'll touch on in a second. So going back to what we can record on in Mobble. So you can record things on mobs and paddocks. On the mob side, you can add a mob action. So this is the treatments we're just talking about, like a drench record. It could be a weight record. It could be nearly anything. So that's all when we got summaries and all these records in our summaries pages. So all our treatments and things like that there. Report casualties, and we have summaries on these too. Basically, if you record a casualty of one livestock, it'll take it off from that mob and put it into our summaries table, and sale mob as well. For when those mobs leaves the property. Yeah, and so full livestock reconciliation as well. So recording, when we're losing livestock, livestock are leaving sales and casualties, but also when livestock are coming onto the property with purchases and natural increase. And that gives you the full livestock rec. With paddocks, we're doing similar things. So you can click on a paddock and click on it again, and you do a bunch of different things. One of the main things here is adding a paddock action. So you can add spray records, fertilizer records, all these sort of things into Mobble. So we're doing basic cropping records. If you're looking for something more advanced, something like an ag world or a back paddock software is going to have more reporting. But we will handle like your basic compliance and cropping records there as well. Yeah.
Just quickly on that, Jock, we did have a question come through prior to the webinar, someone asking if you can record spot spraying locations on the map.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great question. So the way that works at the moment, add paddock action, you add a product to it. Say brush off. This would normally be used for spot spraying. You can just add in the total that you used. It wouldn't be in kilograms, but anyway, you can imagine. So you use like say 40 liters over this paddock spot spraying, and that's how you record that. It still calculates the quantity per hectare, but you're gonna have to, it'll still calculate that, but you can still put in your total that you've used on that paddock, if that's helpful. So that's one way you can do that. If you've done it to a heap of different paddocks and you don't know how much you've used in each one, so we wouldn't know. You can also multi-select, click the heap of different paddocks, and then have that total sitting there. Yeah, like that, and sort of see that calculation change. That's how I would do it. Sam, is that clear?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I think the only other add is the notes section is really helpful to record those details as well. If there's a specific area of the paddock that this was applied to versus the entire paddock, it's probably the only call out there.
Yeah, thank you. And like most of our recording forms do have a notes section to add those little things in. It could be a note on a sale, it could be a note on a paddock action or spray record, or it could be a note on a treatment. So notice that one sheep was lame, etc. And then if you come into summaries, and we say we want to view all the mob actions that we've done recently, we can see them all here. See, it's a date filter up the top here. And we can also see the notes if we add the notes form there as well. And we can export this into spreadsheets and CSVs or print them off any way you like, or filter it down to exactly what you want to see as well. So yeah. So all the most recent drench records over the last 12 months, this is all our drench records for the last 12 months on this property, as an example. Yeah. So keep going that compliance train for a second. Other things that we're doing in Mobble is our inventories on animal health, herbicides, pesticides, and fertilizers as well. You can see here that you've got multiple inventories. What you can do if you've got multiple properties, you can share your inventories between properties. So we have one. So between the two properties that my parents and my brothers manage, we basically use one inventory, and this is shared with this property as an example. So you can edit which properties have access to it, um, if you like. But otherwise, yeah, you can go in here and you can add in your products. And you also add your products in on the fly if you're doing a mob action on the fly. And within a product, we're seeing how much we've used over a period as well. So we're tracking all this usage data, which is pretty cool. And that goes back forever. And also, like, say if you've got hay in the shed, and you're feeding that out to cattle over a period of time, you can apply feed actions and you can see how much hay has been used over a period and how much is left in the shed, as well. So pretty powerful. You just you add in batches to comply with say the LPA as an equivalent here. But if you're feeling lazy, you can just add in one batch that does a lot of to do it all and fix up your records later if you like. But I know some people like to bend it a little bit, but yeah, I'd recommend adding in batches just to comply with the LPA and NZFAP and all those different regulatory bodies. Yeah, yeah, cool. Um, yeah, cool. Okay, that's about all I wanted to cover today. I've covered all my little points. The last thing I'll sort of note is task management. Task management's got pretty good. Well, it's pretty handy in a way. You can add in geolocational tasks. So my brother likes to add in locations of weeds and tick them off once he's spot sprayed them. As an example, or you could put a hole in the fence and stuff like that. Geolocational task. You can also just create a task list and assign different people to it that they can tick off during the day. So you could set up, your week's tasks for employees or family members, and get them to tick it off. There's like notifications all set up here. So when you add a task, all done by the plus button. You can have a task description. You can assign it to someone. To assign it to Jared. Um, You can assign it to a paddock if you like, or you can add it on a map, or neither. Doesn't have to be any of that. But this one maybe is more of a general task. It could be like, yeah, fix tire on motorbike. And Jared's gonna get notified about this straight away. So he'll know this task is happening. He can check it in Mobble. And when he's done it, whoever made the task will get notified that that task has been done. Jared will also be notified again if we put a due date on it. So say if we put a due date on it tomorrow, it's going to ping him in the morning and say, "Hey, this task is due today." So yeah, it's a handy feature if you've got multiple employees, or just reminding yourself as well. I think we use it a lot just to remind ourselves, when certain events are coming up, or there's a truck of we're trucking on Sunday morning, stuff like that. So yeah, it's handy for all those things there too. We've got a property chat there as well. Also got all your rain gauge data in here as well with rainfall averages for each month. Yeah, so yeah, and that's sort of most of what I cover today. So I'll leave it to that. If anyone's got any questions, I'll leave it for you guys. But otherwise, thanks for coming. You got any other
If
questions?
you have any questions, you can come off mute if you would like to chat through them, or you can send them through the question box. Either way is totally fine. We'll just give you all a couple of minutes.
All good. It was an easy crowd today, Sam.
It was. Do you have a question? Sorry, Kane. I just saw you've come off mute.
Yeah, sorry, I was just looking earlier at the like the mob names and that. Is there a way where like I seen you were sort of playing around with the names and the breeds and things like that? Will we be better off making the breeds different names to try and keep track of the mobs better? Because at the moment we've got like this property we're on, we've just got cattle here and it's mostly, breeding stock, but we run three distinctive mobs of cattle in terms of like we run commercial Angus cattle and then there's stud Angus cattle and then there's ASBP cattle as well.
Yeah.
And would we be better off changing that name under the breed to make a better distinction? Because at the moment, the way they're set up, they're all set up as Angus cattle. So, when you just have a brief overview of the paddocks,
Yeah.
it all just comes up as the same essentially, and it makes it a little bit hard sometimes for people that, are lesser in the know what's going on,
Yeah.
which mob that might be.
Yeah, it's a great question, and we see people customize the breeds quite a bit. Well, I often recommend not to customize them too much, but it does depend on your situation. So, like, have you guys found these classes sections, Kane, like the how you can class mobs certain ways?
Yeah, yeah, we use that a lot.
Yeah,
But we so we'll mix and match a lot of mobs of cattle. Like we'll run heifers and cows together when they're dry and things
yeah,
like that. And that classes section's handy for that. But
yeah,
as an overall, like we're running 3,500 head of cattle here in probably, sometimes depending on what the season's doing, up to 9 mobs. And when they're
yeah.
all coming up as Angus cows or Angus cows and heifers mixes and things like that, like you can click on it with the classes and see. We've at the moment we're using the class function as like our studs, ASBPs,
Yeah.
commercials, that sort of thing. But in
Yeah.
terms of the overview, can you just give the mob itself like a quick name? Is there a way of doing that?
No, there has been questions in the past, but no, you can't give it a quick name. Um, I mean, like you can do that option, like the option of changing the breeds. You could go down. I've just told everyone not to do that, but you can go down that way of going, Angus commercial, or Angus ASBV and or Angus stud, and have those be the breeds or in there as well. But in what's going to happen though is in the reporting especially, you're gonna have big breakdowns, and this table will look pretty overwhelming, maybe potentially, but maybe not. Like maybe that's what you want to see. So it depends. And then the other risk there. So if you start sort of changing the breeds up heaps, unless you have a really good plan, you can't merge those mobs simply. So the way a merge works. With mobs is they've got to have the same breed and gender to merge together. So I can't merge these two together because these are heifers and these are cows. If I change these Murray grey heifers to cows, and then I'd be able to merge them together. So it's one thing just to be wary of if you're going down the track of changing the breeds to name the mobs more clearly for you guys, and maybe that's the best way to do it for you guys. I'm not sure. But just be careful that you don't end up with heaps of breeds and you can't merge them together because it can get messy. So if you do it mindfully, I reckon maybe it is a good call. But yeah, it's kind of comes down to you guys and your operation.
No worries. Thanks, Joe.
No worries, Kane. Thanks. Thanks for coming in. Awesome.
Do we have any other questions from anyone?
Leave it at that. Oh, well,
I
thanks so
think
much, everyone.
so.
Thanks so much, everyone, for their time coming today. And this will all be put on YouTube. We'll send it around to everyone that couldn't make it today. It'll be live on YouTube forever. Also, yeah, big thanks to Ruth and yeah, Scotty. Good to see you too. And yeah, we'll catch up with all you later. And if you ever need support with Mobble, as always, head to our website. Go to the resources page here. That number or that email, you can always find us. You can always find Sam, myself, or any of us of our customer success staff at the end of this phone. So just give us a buzz and we can help you out. Cheers.